Hey everyone, TamaFi here from Tamashii Nations, and I'm here with the product planner for the Meisho Manga Realization line.
Hi everyone, I'm Julian Oreska, the product planner for the Meisho line here at Tamashii Nations.
Thanks for coming in today, and let's jump straight into it.
Today we're looking at Muhomono Wolverine, which is the newest item in Tamashii Nations Manga Realization line. First of all, here's the packaging, and you can see the brush strokes as well as the newly designed Wolverine. And so let's go ahead and open it up and have a look at it. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up the box and we can have a look at Muhomono Wolverine.
Okay, so if you have a look at it here, there's actually a wide selection of different parts in here. Could you explain those to us?
Yes, so as many of you will know, the whole Meisho Manga Realization and also the Meisho Movie Realization series are planned by Takayuki Takeya, who is a famous Japanese sculptor. So all of the figures take a lot of design cues from Japanese art and traditional samurai armor, and you can see that he has a number of different blade parts. So these blades, for example, are designed to resemble sort of a katana, and they come in a set of 3 that can be plugged into his arm, as well as these blades, which are a little bit less like in the traditional comics, but kind of a sawtooth blade. So you can choose whichever blades you want and you can put them on the figure. So let's go ahead and take the figure out of the box. So here he is. Here's Meisho Manga Realization Muhomono Wolverine. So right away, one of the things I really want to show off here today is just how articulated the Meisho figures are nowadays. A lot of you who have bought some of maybe the earlier figures or even SIC figures will, I think, be really pleased with the range of articulation. Everything from the foot, how it rotates almost a full 180 degrees to the sides, to his hands, which are all on ball joints. So pretty much any pose that you would want to have your Wolverine take, you can actually replicate with this figure. So let's put him into a pose, for example, like so. And of course the figure is fully painted, so all of the armor has a nice metallic paint as well as some weathering along the panel lines. And also the skin and the under armor, the cloth parts, which are actually plastic, but it's made to resemble cloth, are all painted as well. So I think fans will be really pleased with the overall aesthetics and just the finish on this item.
The color stood out to me really quite vibrantly. What different types of paints are you using here?
So a lot of the parts, for example, these blue pieces here, actually have 2 layers of paint. So there's a silver layer with a clear layer over top, which gives it a really nice luster, almost like real metal. So then also, let me just show off here how you can change the sword parts. So for example, if you want to, you can give him 2 different kinds of swords. Here on the left arm is his more traditional claws, and then on the right, you'll actually see he has a hook on the edge of the blades, which is similar to some weapons that you might see in, for example, ninja weapons, some of the more traditional weapons from feudal Japan. So actually, one of the great things that you can do with this series is that they're all in the same scale. So they're roughly 180 millimeters, or about the 1/9 scale for figure collectors. So let me show him off here, for example, with one of his fellow, sometimes X-Men partners, Deadpool. So this is the Meisho Manga Realization Deadpool, which is on sale now. This came out a little while ago, and you can see that both of them pair really well together. In fact, you can go ahead and, since they both have blade parts, you can put them in some nice poses. Sometimes they are, shown in the comics to be kinds of at odds with each other, so you can have your Deadpool and Wolverine kind of fighting each other like so. And of course, they really have no problem holding these poses. So that's really what the Meisho series is great for.
Yeah, like you said, the articulation has really improved over the course of the line here, and I'm really liking the contrast between the 2 characters and the 2 colors.
Yeah, and so really, there's a lot of other figures in the line, including Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, War Machine. So you can really just collect them all, and you can have your whole Marvel collection, fighting each other, and have this really nice Japanese traditional art design vibe from this series, which is really one of the unique things that we're doing with this line.
So you said his name was Muhomono Wolverine. I'm assuming that's Japanese.
Yes, it means sort of like a lawless guy. It doesn't translate directly, but it is sort of to show that he is kind of lives by his own rules, for example.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely cool. Especially with Wolverine, he has this whole history with Japan, so I think that really works well together for this figure specifically. Can you tell us a little more about the history of the line? Like, what kind of started it all? What was the concept behind this sort of collaboration between Japan and Marvel?
Well, originally the line actually started with Star Wars with the movie Realization figures, which were kind of the brand originated based off of the traditional sort of history that Star Wars has with Japanese art and Japanese cinema, but then we transitioned into Marvel, and instead of going directly off of the current Marvel movies, we decided to translate the characters' comic representations into figures. So that's where the manga realization line was born, with Spider-Man and also Iron Man about 4 or 5 years ago.
So for the design, you mentioned Takeya-san before, but is all of the designs done by him alone?
Yes, and actually for those of you watching today, we want to show you one of the designs, which should come onto the screen right now. So this is one of his sketches, which he always does for each of the figures to begin. So first of all, he sculpts all of the figures in his workshop, but then of course, before you can get into the actual sculpting, you have to start with the sketch. So this is what we're showing right now. And you can see how he sort of paints and draws the armor very minutely, really has these nice flourishes in mind from the very beginning. And then he actually starts the sculpting, which is done by hand. So all of these figures are actually done in a very traditional method, which is contrasts from some of the more modern figures, which you can do by computer in software like for example CAD or other freeform design programs. These figures are really done sculpted by hand, and then that's replicated in the factories to make the figure.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. You can really see the detail from the original sketch that's come all the way through here to the figure now.
Right.
It's really stayed the same.
And in fact, you can see kind of, if you look at his helmet, for instance, you can see that even the figures, when they're produced in the factory, are also hand painted to a large degree. So a lot of this weathering and kind of the outlining of his armor panels, that's all done by hand.
Well, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
This was the Meisho Manga Realization Muhomono Wolverine figure, and that will be coming out on the 24th of August here in Japan, and then later on for all of you guys overseas, so please come and check that out.
And we've been hearing from you fans for a long time that you wanted Wolverine in this line, so please continue to give us your comments. We really appreciate hearing from you. So definitely let us know what other things you'd be interested in seeing, and what you think about the series. Thank you.